Hello and welcome to Grand Prix Xi'an coverage for the MSEM format. Today we're looking at the round 1 match between Cyber and Edward. Edward is on MonoBlack Villainy, while Cyber is on Mantis. Okay, and so Cyber starts off with a turn 1 Stolen Secrets naming instant. So what instance does Cyber have in his deck? He's got C Cache, Sandscatter, Arcgen, Outsmart, lots of interaction basically, which I guess probably means that Edward has Villainy, I would assume, because generally the only reason that you want to, this is actually looking, double Arcgen is not what you want to be staring down right here, especially Oracle's Vision into Counterspell next turn, into Hunter's Hideout turn 3 potentially. But yeah, so I'd imagine that Edward has Villainy, or maybe no, if it was a turn 2 play, they wouldn't be worried about counter magic. They would probably just try to take a win con straight up. So yeah, I think Edward likely has the turn 3 Villainy here and wants to make sure that it'll get down onto the battlefield undisrupted. Because once it comes down, other than Hunter, Cyber does have Hunter's Hideout in hand and in the deck, but that's the only way to remove Villainy. He could be looking at Warden of the Dead though, but Warden of the Dead is a 4-drop. And the problem is Warden of the Dead's ability triggers on death. But if you look at the removal here, there's Sandscatter. Actually, the only removal. There's Sandscatter, I guess there's Setting Sun. There's 4 copies of Setting Sun. But the biggest thing, single target point and click removal, is going to be Sandscatter. Okay, so Cyber mills 2 lands and another Hunter's Hideout. Let's see what Edward mills. Stolen Secrets, Honorless Offering, and a Swamp. So kind of just average for both players. So I think what Edward would want here is a Chigao naming a Warden, because that makes things a lot harder for Cyber. And yeah, there it is. Chigao naming Warden. This makes this matchup kind of an upward battle for Cyber. So Cyber here, we know he has C Cache. He's probably just going to keep up Arcgen, honestly, just in case, because he doesn't have any other plays he can really do here. Like on 2, what does he have? All of his on 2 stuff is interaction. So I guess he drew an island, or he must have had an island in hand before that I didn't see, because I only saw the fetch lands initially, so I thought Cyber should be at 16 life. Okay, that's a good play. So getting a Dark Bargain down is a good rattle with I'm not sure what else Cyber was expecting to counter, another Chigao maybe, but or I guess he's just saving the counterspell for something more high impact. But Edward is if he cracks another Dark Bargain. Oh, he did forget to ping. He did forget to ping from fetch. Okay. Oh no, is he countering it? Oh no, he's using C. Oh, he's using C Cache on Edward's end step. Okay. So what this probably means is Edward doesn't have hand attack, because if Edward had hand attack, they have the 1 black mana open to use it. They probably wouldn't be opposed to it getting countered, and then want to take out the Hunter's Hideout from Cyber's hand. Because Cyber does just drop Hunter's Hideout here, I think. Oh no, I think they're thinking about it. Yeah, because they're on 8 cards. And yep, here comes the Hunter's Hideout. They're 2/3 of the way there to turning it online. Though maybe it would have been smarter to keep up interaction and then. Oh, okay. Fateful Journey on end step, likely going to find Villainy. Edward does not have the mana for Villainy right now, because of this Forgotten Haunt. I don't. Yeah, I guess Warden. But yeah, because they have nothing to deal with Resolved Hunter's Hideout. And Resolved Hunter's Hideout eventually just wins the game for Cyber. So I guess Edward's main hope here is probably to win before Cyber can, which usually would be easiest with Villainy, but because of Hunter's Hideout being able to kill Villainy all on its lonesome, it's not really like a good prospect. Okay, so plays a land, taps out for Warden. Because Cyber's also tapped out, he can't counter this. So Cyber is also in a weird position here, because now Cyber is on basically, what is basically a 5-turn clock, but could easily become a 4-turn clock if Cyber decides to do anything like fetch. And Edward has like a really good value engine. He'll attack with Warden, and then next turn he'll sacrifice. Actually, it is a 4-turn clock. So next turn he's going to attack with Warden, sacrifice it to create a spirit, and then using Chigao he can replay it from his graveyard, and then cantrip. So this is a really powerful engine right now. So Cyber's on 4 mana, and yep, okay, he's using a fetch, so he is definite. Before he was just kind of in like a 4-turn clock. Now he's definitively in that range. He's searching for white. He does not have double white for so he's Sand Scatter. He's going to Sand Scatter the Warden, which is a really good play here. Because since it exiles it, he can't use Chigao to bring it back. And then since he doesn't have the mana to sacrifice in response, this puts Edward on the back foot here. Depends on what Edward has in his hand, but Villainy is a dead card, straight up. And Warden is basically his only win con. So I think we can definitively say Cyber does not, actually no. So Cyber could probably be thinking about, should I hold up Arcgen or should I go straight for Hunter's Hideout? I personally think there's no reason not to go straight for Hunter's Hideout, so he's doing that right here. He's now up to 14 cards in grave, which is enough to turn on Hunter's Hideout. And also, Edward is tapped out, which means that even if he had Memento Mori, he would not be able to cast it here. So Cyber is guaranteed getting 2 3/3 beast tokens. Now the thing is, though, the beasts do lose to Warden, which is, I guess, why Cyber was thinking, hey, should I hold this up? Because right now, if he drops Warden, if he has the mana to drop Warden and also drop Memento Mori, but he won't be doing that. He's going to draw off Dark Bargain. But if he did Memento Mori into Warden, that would be a devastating play right here. But no, I'm just... Because Edward is... Oh, when going to end is not a good sign. That is not a good sign at all. Because Edward really... He's going to take 6 here. So he's on a 3-turn clock, but if Edward wants to make anything happen, I guess Edward could have Memento Mori, and he's just waiting for Cyber to do this, like play out cantrips, Memento Mori, Exile Grave, and then hopefully, I guess, next turn have Wave of Decay to take care of these beasts. I think that is the best line he could hope for, right? But he only has... Oh, this is actually very interesting. He only has 1 wave. Usually, these types of Villainy decks have a lot more Wave of Decay main because it can just be so devastating. But yeah, with only 1 wave, this is looking really bad because top decking Unmasker here does basically nothing. Performer is potentially good, but not enough to probably win this. So on it, okay, he's gonna play Fateful Journey, searching for his 1 wave. So because he'll only lose 1 life from that, and it'll also give him a way to kill these beasts. And I think I missed, because Cyber has no grave, so I think I missed a casting of something here. Oh no, actually, I'm sorry, I was looking at it wrong. Cyber still does have 17 cards. So sorry, I was looking at exile. So Cyber's grave is not exiled. He will be creating 2 more beasts. Oh, and he searches for Warden? Puts himself down to 3 life? That seems like the wrong play. Is he countering Warden? He can Ocean Monastery and then counter. And if he counters Warden here, I don't think, I straight up don't think Edward has any outs. He'd need Wave of D. This is what I don't get. Why did he search Warden instead of Wave of DK? But again, I don't think it matters because, yeah, GG game 2. Okay. So what are we looking at from the sideboards here? Probably Duress from Well Seasoned because he doesn't. Duress is just really good in this matchup. Seal the Tomb for sure. He wants to get just completely get all of the Hunter's Hideouts out of a Cyber's deck once he ends up getting one of them with hand attack. Cyber is also liable to be milling himself a lot with like Oracle's Visions and stuff to try and turn on Hunter's Hideout. So Seal the Tomb, even without Well Seasoned or Edward needing to do his own hand attack, Seal the Tomb will probably be live most of the time. Lost Memories, I could see it to kill Helen Trent, especially over like, let's say, Exant. Because the only thing that Exant hits is High Chance or Casimir, and Casimir protects himself from edicts, if I'm not mistaken. Is it any player? Yeah, whenever a player casts a non-creature spell. So Memento Mori and Exant and Diabolic Designs, in fact, are all dead versus Casimir. So, and I think Casimir is statted. What is he statted at? 3/4. So he just dodges Lost Memories either way. So really, it's only an anti-Helen tech. Just Business is actually he's swapping out all the Diabolic Designs for Just Businesses right here, because Just Business hits both Casimir and Helen. Antithesis maybe if he's worried about Casimir going off, but I don't think that'll be his concern. I think Sorcerer's Spyglass will probably come in just because it hits Helen, it hits Casimir, it hits Hunter's Hideout. So probably he's going to take out Diabolic Designs, Exant for sure. I'm not sure what else he would want to take out, but he definitely wants some number of Sorcerers, some number of Just Business, the Duress, and the Seal the Tomb, which is a huge board switch, but I'm not exactly sure what he would want to take out. Probably some of the more, some of his creatures. Maybe not because you want Unmasker as like hand attack, and you want Warden as your main engine. Also, they have started, so let's see. Okay, turn 1 Duress. So starting much like the previous game. I'm just going to quickly think about what Cyber could side in Chrono Fracture, because with Chrono Fracture, what you do is you take, I think first Chrono Fracture, you take, oh no, actually, this is different from most Villainy lists where their only win con is Villainy itself. Here he's got Villainy, Warden, Unmasker, and Performer. So I guess Chrono Fracture probably won't be coming in that situation. Bewitching Vapors, probably to take out just agnostically point and kill stuff. Chains of Subdual, this is not a matchup for Chains of Subdual, I think, but you could maybe as a one-off because it shuts off Warden of the Dead's enter the battlefield and leaves the battlefield trigger. Giant's Wake, I don't think, the Giant's Wake is definitely not coming in because, Edward does not go that wide. And Sigil of Radiance, I don't think that's coming. Yeah, that's not coming in. Okay, so he duressed. So it looks like Oracle's Visions happened from Cyber. What did Edward end up duressing? Hunter's Hideout. And just looking at Cyber's hand here, Oracle's Vision, Seek Prophecy, Lush Oasis, another Oracle's Vision. So lands and cantrips and Hunter's Hideout was the only thing. So I guess Cyber was hoping to go Oracle's Vision, Seek Prophecy, Oracle's Vision, and then hopefully turn on Hunter's Hideout. Not turn 3, but like depending on what he got off Seek Prophecy, he could turn it on turn 4 for sure. So there's another Oracle's Vision. That'll take him up to 10 cards in grave. So he needs 2 more to turn on a hypothetical Hunter's Hideout if he gets another one next turn. This is looking a lot like the previous game, where like Cyber is just quote unquote ramping up the number of cards in his grave. And there's here comes Seek Prophecy, which will put so actually with this is enough for Cyber to get a turn 3 Hunter's Hideout and have it turn on. Now the difference is if Edward has Momentum Warring here, that would just completely take the wind out of Cyber sails again. Because I mean, dressing a Hunter's Hideout and then just Memento Moriing them so they no longer have access to it. Of course, you'd prefer to take it out and attack. So if they had that here, I think they're going to try and oh no, they're just going to go for their own Villainy. Okay, I don't know if this is a good play, because if Cyber manages to resolve Hunter's Hideout, he will get 2 3/3 beasts and will have the opportunity to kill Villainy. So I don't know that this was the right move to make. Okay, but he's not. He does not. He is going to Seek Prophecy. That's 4 cantrips that Cyber's cast. I think he wants to dig really deep for this Hunter's Hideout. He really does. Oh, but he's getting a mysterious. Okay, or maybe it's a third line. Maybe he already got another Hunter's Hideout. I didn't see what he got off the previous Seek Prophecy. Let me quickly check that. Okay, he got a Helen Trant, which is not ideal. Okay, so Cyber has Counterspell magic up, but if I'm being honest, it does not matter because Villainy is already on the battlefield, and that's the main thing that you want to counter. You can counter a Warden here, but then that would only make the situation like more palatable, I guess. Slightly more palatable, because Villainy is a cast trigger. Oh, and Performer of Ambition. This is a really hard word to answer. It's not gonna Performer is not gonna flip anytime soon though. But it is an additional clock, and it's another angle of attack. So Villainy usually plays like a control deck. Edward is now playing it like a weird grindy mid-range deck, and that's really mostly due to the addition of the Chigawa Warden engine, but also like being willing to devote main board slots to creatures. Because I know like other Villainy decks have either taken out Villainy and gone full Grixis Ninjas, or they're like Pip where they've taken out all the creatures instead and gone full non-permanence. So seeing someone still sticking to this kind of mix of like just black cards in this format are good, creature and non-creature, I'm going to play them. Well, okay, but Cyber saying like, well, the creatures aren't good because they can be removed. So he's going to Sand Scatter with the forward. Which Cyber is on. He's okay. That was on end step. Sorry. So actually, that's fine. So what that does do is, if Edward has Fateful Journey, he can now cast Fateful Journey. He now has Exit online, just in case. I don't know. I don't think Exit is not live, so he does not have Exit. That's another Oracle's Vision. That grave is looking really scary. So Cyber wants, if he has Hunter's Hideout, he wants a green land. Does he have any white-green lands in his deck? Let's look. He does have Heart of the Glade, but would that come in tapped? Yeah, it would come in tapped. He has no white-green enters the battlefield untapped lands, so it's probably he wanted to Sand Scatter immediately, and he might just be looking for another for a green land. So if he has Hunter's Hideout in hand, he does not. Okay. And yeah, that Sand Scatter did give Edward access for Fateful Journey. And the Villainy trigger conveniently hits. So Cyber, in the previous game, Hunter's Hideout is what really gave him the edge. Without having it here, and with Edward having basically 2 of his win cons resolve, it's not like, oh, and a Fateful Journey for another Villainy. And this is the problem, because it's a cast trigger, right? So And I don't know that letting Fateful Journey resolve was the right call. Okay, so Cyber is saying though I have effects on your upkeep. Because but the reason I'm saying like I don't think letting Fateful Journey resolve was a good idea is because if well, I guess he doesn't have the mana for it, but if Cyber had, or sorry, if Edward had another black mana and hand attack, that would just destroy Cyber's chances of winning this game. As it is, Cyber has a chance to counter this Villainy, and then well, he'll only get drained too, but at least it isn't a double Villainy, which would make it so that Cyber isn't like decidedly close to dying range. So Cyber seems nonplussed about something. Because he's cracking Mysterious Cataract. I think it might be that he thought he had some sort of land in his hand, but he doesn't. I think I might have made a terrible misplay, Cyber says. I'm not quite sure I see it myself. Was it not casting Hunter's Hideout on his turn? Because if he has Hunter's Hideout, he definitely should have cast it. Okay, here comes Villainy. Does Cyber have the counterspell? Either way, the villain. Oh no! Okay, it resolves. Okay, so then what are the lands for? Yeah, I guess he's just gonna go straight to end. He's got 2 Villainies. Cyber is Sea Cash. Okay. Again, I guess hoping to draw into a Hunter's Hideout, but okay, so the issue here is Cyber will die to 3 Villainy triggers. Now Edward only has 2 cards in hand, but because of having like Dark Bargain or like Fateful Journey or just stuff they can like find, they can like cantrip and replace themselves. It's not like inconceivable that Edward will just get there and like quote unquote storm off and kill Cyber with Villainy triggers. So if Cyber had Hunter's Hideout last turn, he should have just cast Hunter's Hideout, and then this turn he could have killed Villainy. And yet there's a Hunter's Hideout, but will it be too little too late? He gets the beasts. So now it comes down to, because I don't think Cyber has any life gain. So next turn he'll be able to shoot a Villainy. Or like, he might have, actually next turn he might have the mana to be able to shoot both Villainies. Memento Mori. Exiling, and there goes, oh my god, there goes all the beasts he could possibly create. And Shock 4 to face. Now the good news is that probably means Edward can't kill Cyber this turn, because he's only got 1 more black source. So yeah. And what is this going to be? Fateful Journey? If it was Fateful Journey, you wouldn't cast him now, so it's probably like Diabolic Designs. But I feel like he would have taken out Diabolic Designs. No, it's Fateful Journey right now. Okay. He's going to drain 4. And what is he getting? I think if he was smart, he would get, well, I guess, does he have anything that taxes here? His main counterspell is Outsmart and Arcgen. So I guess it really doesn't matter what he gets. It's basically, does he have a counterspell or not? And Cyber has no life gain. So next turn he's going to destroy one of the villains with Hunter's Hideout, but can he do that and still keep mana? Does he have, like, he can do that and still keep mana for a counterspell, but does he have a counterspell? It doesn't matter if he has a counterspell, actually. He has to destroy a Hunter's Hideout. Okay, and there's Honorless Offering. So I guess the hope will be Honorless Offering, which will get him 1 Villainy trigger, and cantrip, and then hope to draw into something else, which he can then use to kill Cyber. Unless Cyber has, oh no, actually Honorless Offering just killed Cyber because it's target player. Oh no. So Cyber is in a bind here because, yeah, there's technically a draw where he's not dead here, which is counters. You get a counterspell, and you destroy Villainy. You have the counterspell for Honorless Offering, and then Edward, his last card in hand is not something else. Okay, and that doesn't happen. Cyber does not have the answer, and game 2 goes to Edward. We're going to a game 3 situation. Okay, so Cyber did mention in the middle of the second game that he made a misplay. And it looks like, so I'm guessing he cited in Bewitching Vapors. And he had one white source, which is how he cast it, Sandscatter. But he mentions that he milled all of his other white sources using his cantrips, which is a mistake because then he can't cast Bewitching Vapors on Villainy, which likely would have won him the game. See, that is a misplay, but it's an unintuitive one, so it's not one that like you'd expect someone to make. Okay, so Cyber is just playing a fetch land tapped and passing. So that means he doesn't have a cantrip, which is surprising because he has 10 of them in his deck. And I don't know why he'd keep a hand without them. Okay, so I thought that was going to be another third game in a row where Edward opened with hand attack, but no, it's just a dark bargain. I guess Cyber might have like a very like counterspell heavy hand and is okay with not having. But cantrips make up the main win con of the deck, so I'd be very surprised. Also, Cyber not cracking the shock fetch before drawing, or not even cracking the shock fetch yet, either tells me that he forgot it was a shock fetch, which I doubt, or he kept like a low land, no cantrip hand, which is very surprising because usually if you're low land, you want to keep a cantrip so you can hopefully get another one. And if you have what is the gas that he has if it's not cantrips here? Oh, also I didn't notice Edward played Dark Bargain, drew 2 cards off of it, but did not hit a land. That's unfortunate. That's painful. Edward has to discard to hand size. And Cyber's like, it's okay, I kept a really slow hand, which means he probably has interaction. So Edward is playing another Dark Bargain. He's drawing again. This is really unfortunate. He's like a 24 land deck, isn't he? Let me see. No, 21. 21 when you're playing 4 drops seems sus. I guess his hope is that he has enough like deck thinning, or not deck thinning, but basically like cantripping that he will get lands anyways. But yeah, when you have like 19 black sources, but you're playing a deck which requires triple black, and you just have 21 lands in general, I don't know how to feel about that. Okay, so he seeks prophecy, finds Helen Trant. Did Edward draw a land? He did! He drew his second land. Now what can he do with that? It doesn't look like he's cracking the dark. Okay, he's playing Sorcerer Spyglass on Helen, probably. Oh, in response. Yeah. I'm guessing Cyber does not want this to resolve. So he's probably going to no, he can't outsmart, so it has to be Arcgen. But Arcgen is good for Cyber here, for Edward here, honestly. It's like, oh god, thank you so much. A third land. That actually puts Edward back in the game. I'm not sure. Like, I don't know if I would have done the same in that situation. I guess the idea is that like he'll eventually get his third land drop anyway, so it doesn't matter. But I think right here and right now, Sorcerer Spyglass might not be that dangerous for Cyber. Or it might be that Cyber's like only like clock is Helen and he just has a bunch of interaction. But I don't think you don't want to give your opponent, if they're on Villainy, you don't want to give them triple black and then tap out for Helen. Like, I don't know. Okay, he's playing Amber Hills. I guess he's keeping it tapped? Because that's the difference between being able to have Counterspell and Hunter's Hideout up. Or no, okay, he's tapping out for Helen. And I'm assuming he's going to Divination her? Yeah, he's Divinationing. What this does mean, though, is if Edward both has Villainy and draws a land, Edward could and has Duress or something. Edward could go for the play pattern of Villainy, land, Duress, shock Helen. Yeah, here comes Villainy. I think this might have been a misplay from Cyber. No? Okay, he's just going straight down. He didn't have the really damaging. Oh, so actually, I guess what happened here? So I guess Edward resolved Villainy, but then Cyber had the Bewitching Vapors for it, and then exiled it. And then managed to play Chains of Subdual, which turns off Warden. So Edward is in a bad place here because Helen just provides a nice clock. Villainy is not off the table. It's the one true win con Edward really has here. But yeah, with Warden's out, Unmasker's out, or Unmasker isn't out, but it just isn't as fast as Helen, and same for Performer. Okay, so Edward sacks his Dark Bargain to draw another card. Edward has more than a full clutch. I don't know. I guess what answer is he trying to find? Because even his I guess he might just be trying to find another Villainy, because that's what he thinks that's the only. Because what I guess Helen's is a +2 though, so he'll need to have Villainy here, then a land drop next turn, and then 2 1-drops. Okay, no, so he's selling Arcgen. So that takes out Cyber's, especially because Cyber has way less cards than Edward right now. That takes out his only way to interact with Edward on the stack. Which, to be honest, is probably fine, because I think Cyber would probably is okay with it. He'd probably want Arcgen, but is okay with the deck thinning. Villainy is answerable by Hunter's Hideout if Cyber draws into that. Creatures just kind of are not as fast a clock as Helen. And Warden is nice, but doesn't do anything other than be a 4/4. Okay, Stolen Secrets naming enchantment. He's hoping to grab a Hunter's Hideout here. And he does. Oh my god, Cyber does have a Hunter's Hideout. That's huge. And Edward, and he has a double Stolen Secrets. And I guess he's naming creature because the only creature Cyber has is Casimir. That's really good for Edward.
That's really rough.
And he has 2 lands in hand.
Yeah, holy crap.
But Cyber still has a clock, which is the issue. And really,
it looks
if
like
Edward had literally been running any number of 1 and done in the 75, he could try and hope and draw into that. But Edward has no 1-for-1 way to kill Walker. I guess he has Just Business. Actually, I'm a filthy liar. If he's brought in Just Business, he could Just Business and then kill Helen. But other than that, Edward is still very much on the back foot here, and is on a 4-turn clock. Oh god, but I guess Performer of Ambition is really good, because, let's see, so Cyber just doesn't want to play anything, really. So Cyber just doesn't want to play cards, because if Performer of Ambition flips, it will be 15-15.
Very big.
Yeah. Yeah, Edward still has huge card advantage, but
I suppose the Cyber has 2 lands in hand, so
he just oh, what? When did he get Sandscatter?
Oh.
I missed that, but okay. But that's really good. That's okay. That's really good for Cyber.
Yeah.
So Cyber, he still has like a 4-turn clock, but I think it's basically a 3-turn clock because everything that Edward does loses him 1 life, like all like Dark Bargain, Arnold's Offering. So it could quickly become a 3-turn clock.
Yeah, unless he can top deck a direct answer. I don't know if
He needs a just business, or he needs Villainy into Villainy now into 2 other cards, into 2 other black non-creatures. Okay, so Cyber restocking hand. Oh, just playing the shot. No, why did you? Oh yeah, I guess he can't attack, but never mind. He can't attack with Helen because he minus tutor. I don't know if I agree with that, honestly. Though I guess it's not a time to get aggressive and that drawing cards can help. I guess he wants the Hunter's Hideout more than anything.
Yeah.
Because Hunter's Hideout just shuts off or just interaction for performer.
But
yeah, sure.
I think it's still more to like attack because backfoot and don't have time to draw answers is usually want to like get them to the point where he can't use any of the spells.
Yeah, that's fair. Oh, Bewitching. I don't know if I agree with that. Bewitching Vapors on. Oh, I don't know how I feel about that at all because now it's like Edward is now solidly back at just like, I'm not going to die soon range, and I think you'd want to save Bewitching Vapors.
Yeah, it's just giving him time to.
And you'd want to save Bewitching Vapors for what do you call it? For Villainy. But yeah.
I mean, the longer it takes to basically get Edward into a losing position is the more time you answer.
Cyber might just be trying to be like, I'm just going to run you out of all of your win cons, which I don't think is like a reasonable thing to try to do because.
Yeah, I don't think that's sustainable. I mean, how many answers could he possibly have?
Point and shoot type answers. He has like what? He has 3 Sand Scatter and then 4 Bewitching Vapors. So yeah. But on the plus side, he is now in a position where that actually might be it. That might be why he's minusing Helen to get back into a position where Outsmart.
So he can.
Said Outsmart actually counters Edward's stuff.
Oh man.
Memento Mori. Oh no, Fateful Journey. Fateful Journey. In response, Planes? No, yeah, he's gonna Outsmart here. No, he's not. What? 3 mana? What are you doing, buddy? What are you tapping? Oh, Sea Cash. Why are you tapping like that? Why are you tapping 3 lands? So I guess Cyber is hoping to draw into an Outsmart, which he can then Outsmart this in response. Nope. Okay, it resolves. And as expected, he's getting a Villainy. So now, Villainy plus 1 other spell is just dead Helen. So we have to imagine that Cyber has to have Outsmart here, or he's in a really bad position. And if Edward has like 2 hand attack spells plus the Villainy he's drawing here, he could just hand attack first. Okay, no, he's not doing that. He's playing Villainy straight up. And it resolves! That's not good. That's not good at all. When she go. And yeah, that's gonna kill Helen straight up. What does he even have in his graveyard? Does Edward have anything relevant in his graveyard? I don't think so. Like any creatures he can name, since both performers were exiled. Okay, so he's gonna Bewitching Vapors. Helen is still gonna die. Cyber has 5 cards in hand, so conceivably, and he has 15 cards in graveyard, so he could conceivably just drop Hunter's Hideout here and be in an amazing position. Yeah, Hunter's Hideout. and he gets 2/3/3 beasts at the end step, and Edward has no real way of dealing with that, particularly because Edward was tapped out there and didn't have the black from Memento Mori, which might, if Edward had Memento Mori in hand, I bet he is kicking himself right now, because Memento Mori on graveyard, like playing Chigao just to shock Helen, is not the right move. Oh, he has another Villainy. It's not going to matter because Cyber can just Hunter's Hideout, ping. Is that instant speed? Yeah, in response, he's going to discard something, blow up Villainy, right? Does he have enough? He does not have enough mana to blow up both Villainy and Chigao. Pool of Light. Why are you tapping Pool of Light? Yeah, that doesn't generate green mana. Yeah, there we go. So he's gonna Hunter's Hideout, discarding Chain of Subdual, which, yeah, he had 2 copies of Chain of Subdual. Let's see, how many copies of Chain of Subdual did he have? Oh, only 2 copies. Okay, he had 2 copies. Okay. I thought he had 1 for some reason. And so he had Sandscatter and Seacash. Edward grabbed the Sandscatter with his Duress. End step, Cyber is going to play Seacash and draw 3 cards at instant speed for 2 mana. Seacash is unimpressive on the first cast, but wow, once you get more and more, it's pretty insane. So now Cyber went from being at, oops, I only have a land in hand, to full clutch. Or not full clutch, but half a clutch at least. He's in a really impressive position here right now. He is going to get 2 more beasts. The only card in Edward's deck which answers those beasts is Wave of Decay, which he only has 1 copy of. Edward could conceivably, yes, he could just end step Fateful Journey and then grab Wave of Decay. But then, like, that's fine and all, but then Hunter's Hideout will just keep pumping out beasts. So you need to have an answer for Hunter's Hideout, which Edward doesn't have. He's tapping out for 4 for, Warden. Unfortunately, Warden does not cantrip. Warden will not create more copies of himself on exit. It's just a blocker to kill 1 beast each combat. But it really doesn't matter since Cyber creates 2 each end step. So Edward is on an exactly 2-turn clock here. And it's kind of impressive to see that Cyber literally has exactly like half the lands in his deck on the board right now. Okay, so he's swinging out with everything. Warden blocks 1, but 9 damage gets through. And yeah, he gets 2 more beasts. If Edward doesn't draw Wave of DK here, he loses, and that's it. So good games. Cyber takes it 2-1 over Edward. Let's see if we can get either of these guys in here. So, hello, Edward. So, hi guys. So I just want.
How are you?
So first, I just want to kind of get your general impressions on how you thought the set would be how you thought the set would be before going into it, and how it actually ended up playing out. Did it like go as you expected based on seeing each other's deck lists, or did some interactions play out in ways that you hadn't thought of before?
It went about as expected for me. It pretty much came down to I had to get rid of the Hunter's Hideout, the 3 mana that can destroy other enchantments with hand destruction spells, because if that resolved, I was just kind of screwed. Couldn't keep Villainies on the field. You could destroy Thiago. And game 3 when the
I feel like Hunter's Hideout and Villainy are kind of the defining cards in that matchup.
Yeah.
Pretty much. And game 3 when Chains of Subdual resolved, I pretty much realized I was screwed because all I had in my hand was a pair of Wardens of the Dead, and with chains out, that really didn't do anything for me.
Yeah. I feel like I have enough exile removal that I'm not that scared of Warden regardless, because it doesn't usually actually die.
No. I really have to cast Warden with 6 lands and a Forgotten Haunt out on the field so I can sacrifice it at instant speed, because otherwise it would just get exiled in that matchup. Yeah, Warden really wasn't a good basis for that one, and the deck overall just didn't have a lot of the things I needed to deal with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the Warden
I will say one card that
generally good. It just didn't pan out in this specific matchup.
Yeah, it didn't really get online, and they just kept getting removed. I couldn't get it a foothold. I will say one card that didn't do as much as I was expecting. I felt like Helene Tran. I anticipated it being a lot more dangerous. I mean, it still performed well, but I thought that was really going to close out the game.
Yeah,
So
I mean, she drew me what 8 cards.
Yeah, but we wanted to ask you about that as to because me and PK were sitting here wondering why you were drawing cards instead of swinging in with Helen. Did you have like Outsmart in hand and were hoping to turn that on, or was there just like card advantages good in this kind of grandy matchup?
I was playing around Exhumed.
Okay. Exhumed?
Yeah,
I wanted to have
I didn't have
another win condition drawn before I put Helene in harm's way again.
Okay, I was actually surprised because I thought that like
that's kind of funny to me.
Oh, sorry, I just thought Edward would side out Exhumed for like just business or something.
I actually did in those games. I boarded out Exhumed for just business in both of the later games. I didn't see any game 2, but I did have one in game 3, but I did see one game 2, which of course I don't think Helene showed up. So that was kind of
Yeah, I mean it's also good against
their only other creature.
What's his name? Why can I not remember? Casimir.
Yeah.
It's also good against Casimir, so I definitely feel like just business is correct.
Yeah, I agree. I think
you also run Memento Mori though, which works similarly, and that you definitely don't want to cut against me.
I have 4 of them in the deck. I didn't see any game 3, which really hurt me because if I had seen one, I could have kept Hunter's Hideout from being online, which is what killed me at the end of it.
Yeah,
but I think the fact that I didn't see one is what really just screwed me over at the end.
I was holding 9 cards worth of self-mill for what it's worth.
Yeah.
Which wouldn't have been enough to bring it on immediately, so you would have at the very least bought yourself a couple of turns, but I was sandbagging ways of putting cards into my graveyard after I lost game 2. Also, I lost game 2 in part because I milled all my white sources.
And you didn't have enough to cast the Vapors? Did you have that in hand? Oh
yeah.
My God.
I was holding the Vapors all game and couldn't cast it.
Get it online without...
Because I saw you go to fetch, and I'm just like, well, what is he missing? Like, I looked at it, and I'm like, you have all 3 colors, but I didn't think of, like, the second white source.
Yeah, second white source is huge for me, both pre-board against decks that aren't this one, and post-board against this deck, because pre-board it's Setting Sun, and post-board it's...
Bewitching Vapors?
Yeah. So I really need... it's also Casimir. I really need double mana of both colors for this deck to run properly.
And this deck seems very volatile, especially with how much you're milling.
Yeah.
I feel like getting screwed out of colors is a real problem.
Right. I think I'm running too many fetches and not enough duels. I wanted to maximize my for turning on Hunter's Hideout more reliably, but I think I went too far.
I think you have so much other ways of getting cards into your graveyard, you don't need that.
I agree.
I
didn't test this heavily before the GP, and I underestimated how good this deck is at milling.
How much? Yeah. No, the deck seems really solid. Overall, I think It's kind of slow, so I don't know how well it would do against aggro, obviously.
Yeah, I think one.
But
yeah, I think against aggro, it really needs to get lucky and draw one of its setting suns.
much.
Which is why I main deck 4 of them, even though they're dead against a lot of decks.
Yeah, against creatureless or creature-light decks, or decks like mine where they don't care if their creatures die, it's a pretty dead card game 1. But the fact is, you can just board it out pretty easily. So it's not that huge of a loss, and drawing one against an aggro deck is really the only thing that can save you.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. If I can get a turn 3 Hunter's Hideout active, that can also stabilize me pretty effectively just by giving me a lot of creatures to block with, but it's definitely dicey.
Yeah.
Is the only line for turn 3 Hunter's Hideout Oracle's Vision into turn 2 Oracle's Vision into turn 3 Hunter's Hideout, or are there other ways to get it?
No. Every fetch you crack allows you to replace one of those Oracle's Visions with a Seek Prophecy or Monkey Shots. Other than that, not unless your opponent has discard spells.
Okay.
My deck could turn it on unintentionally, but
right. But it always requires that your first 3 mana be spent on cantrips if you want to get a turn 3 active Hunter's Hideout, I think.
Much. I feel like one card I wish I'd seen more in those matchups was Seal the Tomb.
Oh, yeah, Seal on Hunter.
Yes.
Simply because you're milling so many cards.
I'm light enough
I would
on
have been able
cons that Seal can sometimes just win you the game.
Yeah, I think if I'd seen a couple more of them, because I would have been able to hit Hunter's Hideout, and I think I might have hit an Arcade Genesis instead of Hunter's Hideout in one game, but I'm not sure if there was one in the graveyard.
There was not one in the graveyard. Your choices there were Arcgen or Sandscatter.
Yeah.
Or
I banked on you having an Arc Genesis in hand because I wanted to get out a couple more cards without them getting countered, and well,
I didn't.
I think of that. Yeah.
I mean, you had the 2 discard spells to shred the rest of my hand, so it didn't matter. But
yeah, well, that's why I did it, because I didn't want you to have an Arcgen and then stop one of the discard spells. I wanted to get rid of as much of your hand as possible at that point.
I feel like if I had an Arcgen in hand, I would have just countered the Seal.
Yeah. I don't know if that, because at that point, I'm still getting rid of the card that I want, and you're giving me a basic land.
Right, but I'm protecting the rest of my hand, so you don't know what to target with your discard.
Well, I guess. Well, if you counter Seal the Tomb, I would have had to guess on one of the discard spells, but I would have at least been able to hit. I probably would have hit the enchantment, because that's what I would have banked on grabbing.
Well, and if you guessed enchantment on the first time, that reveals the creature, and you hit Casimir with the second one.
That's true.
So it wouldn't have actually helped me any, but it would have helped me if you only had one discard spell to follow it.
I only have one discard.
Instead
it would
of
have
2.
definitely been better.
Okay.
But
anyway,
you still won that match, obviously.
Right. I think there were definitely ways both of us could have tightened up our play a little bit there. I certainly felt like I was playing sloppily, but not in
too, I think. Yeah, I think I could have had a couple better things. I think it was mostly the hand that I kept game 3. As you saw, I missed my first land drops.
Yeah.
Which I needed to be the aggressive deck in this matchup, because in the long game, I just wasn't going to be able to push it out.
Yeah,
So not being able to do anything for the first few turns, I think, is what really lost me that match.
As weird as it is, you are the beatdown in this matchup.
Yeah, I think because if I had gotten those land drops, I would have been able to hit Villainy turn 3, which would have set me up far better.
Cyber counter with Arcgen? Because I just remember thinking
he countered my Sorceress Spyglass.
Okay, because
I countered the Spyglass
that you just got off Seek Prophecy.
Right.
Because I remember looking at that and I was just like, oh man, that might have actually just put Edward back in the game.
Yeah. I decided
if that had resolved, I would have been set.
Right. I would have had no
But-
action for many turns.
Yeah, and combine that with the fact that I think I had so many cards in hand because I hadn't been doing anything that it was only Arcgen that could have killed me there. I don't think Outsmart would have been online.
Speaking of Outsmart,
I cited
wanna-
Outsmart.
I
You
just
brought
want
too
to
many
talk
cards.
about because I think it's an interesting tech in your deck. I don't think I've seen like anyone else play it. And I just want to hear your opinion like on. I don't know if you drew this in any of these games, and if you did, what did you think of playing with it?
I didn't draw it, and I cited it out because this is exactly the matchup I don't want it in. I think it's a. This was suggested by Pipsqueak actually, as a counterspell that's better against Tron and a lot of the combo decks than Arcgen is, where you can't really afford to ramp them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also good against aggro, though Arcgen also is. But it means
Arcgen is far better against this deck because it exiles, but generally speaking, Outsmart is really nice because you have so many cards in hand, especially with Helene drawing you two repeatedly.
And with the 2-3 split, I side out one or the other in most matchups.
Okay.
Yeah.
Except against non-Tron combo decks, where I just need all the counter magic I can hold.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I usually am going to be siding one out for specific tech for the deck I'm dealing with. Cutting Outsmarts against control and Arcgens against some combo decks.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm not confident it was a good decision, but I think it's an interesting one, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it plays over the GP.
I am too. I think it's definitely like you just look at it and you're like, oh, it's counterspell. But the condition is definitely like steep enough that it can be an issue. So I want to see like, is it actually just straight up counterspell or how else is
I don't think it's just counterspell because the thing is, early games where you would want a 2-mana counterspell because that lets you hit something really easily. You have to have more cards in hand, which is never a guarantee early on because they might not have played out their hand yet. And later games, it's still not bad as it'll still be counterspell, but I feel like you could have a better option for the early
It's
game.
one of those things where like if you're on, it's significantly worse if you're on the play than if you're on the draw.
I don't think so. I think actual counterspell is drastically better on the play. I think this is about neutral. Because the thing about a 2-mana counterspell is that you often want it because there are 2 drops you're scared of.
Okay, yeah, fair.
And I don't know. Obviously, in this matchup, it did manage to hit a 2-drop, but that wasn't exactly the ideal situation for it.
Right.
Or no, you didn't hit it. You could have hit a 2-drop if you hadn't sided it out. But generally speaking,
right.
I don't know if this can hit 2-drops consistently.
I think
especially if a lot of people are playing like draw spells in their decks.
I think it only can if they have a 1-drop that isn't a cantrip. So if their turn 1 is Scorch You, for example.
Turn 1 is something like that, yeah. But I think so many decks, their general turn 1 is, especially if they're any sort of blue, their turn 1 is usually Seek Prophecy or something similar with a cantrip.
It's definitely. I think you're right. I think it is better on the draw, countering their 3-drop. Like their Artie Study or their Villainy.
Yeah, no. Against a Villainy deck, I think it would be really good on the draw because that's where you want to have it be able to hit their Villainy.
Yeah. I decided that I would rather have Chains of Subdual against you than more counterspells.
I agree. Chains was far better in that matchup because it just shuts off most of my threats. Well, it doesn't shut them down, but it makes them a lot harder to use. So Chains was far better than...
I can't really afford to cut win cons or I can't afford to cut win cons or exile removal or cantrips. And so that pretty much leaves counter magic.
I guess my deck, you don't really need counter magic, especially counter magic that doesn't exile with Chagu in the deck.
Yeah, I mean, it's good at keeping you from resolving villainies, which is important.
I think Arcane Genesis does that well enough. And there's plenty of other ways to get rid of villainies.
Yeah, Hunter's Hideout was
because unless I get like more than
made as like an anti-villainy card by Pip. I don't remember the exact details, but I'm pretty sure that she's mentioned at one point or another, like, yeah, I made Hunter's Hideout because people were like not very happy about. I knew they were not going to be very happy about Villainy.
Definitely feels like an anti-villainy card. And it's card
Hideout
that
was originally designed
what I've seen
to be an anti-Artie study card.
Oh, really? Okay.
It was designed both to provide an alternative to Artie's study as a green value engine and to utterly ruin Artie's decks. Because at the time they were extremely dominant, and now they're just good. Mm-hmm. But Hunter's Hideout was supposed to kill Artie's study, and it didn't.
That feels like, actually, I have to talk to Pip about that, because that feels like a weird thing, because I feel like I would look at Artie's and look at this and be like, yeah, I'll put them in the deck together, thank you very much. I'll take 4 copies of each.
Yeah, I don't really see why you couldn't, especially in some Enchantress type build.
The thing is, it is almost impossible to fill your graveyard fast enough for Hunters to be useful if you're not running cantrips, and you can't run cantrips with Arties.
Fair. Yes. Watch me run. I'm going to do it very slowly, but I'm going to dark bargain my way there. You'll see.
Yeah. See, I don't think that's worth
Black
running.
Green Enchantress. Yeah. I don't know. I can see why it was designed that way, but it feels so much more like an anti-villainy card. That's probably just personal experience. It's a very good card. It's a very powerful card for what it's supposed to do. But the main thing holding it back is Memento Mori existing.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Agreed. Memento Mori is doing a good job of keeping the format in check in a lot of ways, but it's also pushing out a lot of clever but not great decks.
Yeah, I think that it's like
it's kind of it's a necessary evil.
Yeah, where it's like they're both like strong. Well, I guess Memento doesn't have to be monocolored, but like usually monocolored cards, which are designed to as strong options against specific decks, but they have like agnostic usage in the sense of like Memento Mori hits creatures but also hits graveyard decks. Mercantile Accords basically just hits decks with like only one angle attack essentially.
Yeah,
I think those are the 2 cards that are really keeping certain things from getting out of hand, but also holding back certain decks.
Which I think is kind of interesting, which is because I don't think has the format changed. Correct me if I'm wrong, Cyber, but I don't think the format has changed that much since I don't think it's shifted that much because those cards were introduced. It feels more like
no, but I think they've prevented the format from shifting.
Right, and yeah, I don't know if that's a bad thing, but I just think it's interesting that they're just something which they're cards which you would expect to spur change, but have rather normalized the format. Does that make sense?
Rather than drastically warping it, just kind of balanced it.
Yeah, because I guess it's around the time Memento was released, is when
the decks
Angel Touch became a GP winning deck. But Memento, I don't think Memento was released it definitely wasn't released in response to Angel Touch. It just kind of came out in a set, and then Monger in parallel was oh, Angel Touch is a deck I can make, and they just happy coincidence happened to Memento happened to balance against that in the meta.
Yeah. Anyway, I should probably go, but
Okay, it was good talking to you guys.
nice talking to you.
See ya.
And good luck in the rest of the
See ya.
GP, you guys.